We recently finished a workshop in our contemporary art workshop, the making of or recreating the Starry Nights from Van Gogh. And while we were doing this painting, we realized that there's one thing about the making of the painting, and then there's another thing really around the making of an artist, in this case, Van Gogh. Uh, Van Gogh, of course, is a legendary figure and a legendary artist when it comes to the art. And unfortunately, he actually became much, much famous after uh, his life. And this session is to understand the life and the times of Van Gogh, the kind of work that he did. And with that, let me introduce to all of you Naina.
With Catterfly, I look forward to sharing my knowledge and experience with you all.
So today, I'm going to tell you the story of Vincent van Gogh, an artist who's no doubt very well known, highly appreciated, but at the same time, little less understood, I feel. So let's start the journey. So, any idea where Vincent van Gogh comes from? Nitin, can they unmute, or you want me to, or they should?
Belgium.
You're closer. It's Netherlands. Yes. So somebody has put it on the chat. Okay. So he was born in a, we can say, higher middle class family. His father was a preacher. And a very interesting trivia, there were 4 Vincent van Goghs, in the same family. So he was named after his grandfather, not he actually, his older brother who was stillborn. He was named after his grandfather, Vincent Willem van Gogh. Now, it's a very spooky thing. His older brother died on the day, he was stillborn, okay? He died exactly 1 year before, on the same day when Vincent van Gogh was born. So both of them were born on the same day, okay? And somehow his parents could not overcome, this grief, and they, it is said that they didn't really, Vincent van Gogh didn't feel very comfortable right from childhood. He always felt that the ideal Vincent van Gogh has passed away and he's just a substitute, okay? So that always tormented him. He felt like he's a replacement child. So beginning with that, then probably it is said that he suffered from some mental illness right from childhood. Of course, we know about all that, what he did much later in his life. So it is said that probably, he was a loner. He didn't get along well with people. He always tried to fit in into the family, into society, into school. Eventually, he dropped out of school at the age of 13 for various reasons. And then his uncle thought that, he should do something, work basically. So he put in a word for him to work as a trainee in a art dealership firm, okay? So this is the only photo portrait of Vincent van Gogh which is recognized at Vincent van Gogh at the age of 19, okay, when he was working in an art dealership firm. Now, this firm, transferred him from one place to another. So he moved to various cities in Netherlands, then Belgium, then London. But somehow, he didn't like the work that he did. And the people there also realized, that he's not fit in to do this kind of work, and they dismissed him. Then he thought of becoming a preacher like his father. He actually started preaching, reading religious books, studying theology and all that. Somehow he was not successful in that also. And again, he was dismissed from the religious group, dismissed him. So then it so happens that, okay, this is a broad context. I'll come back to this. This is a timeline of Western art history, a very broad timeline, of course. And we are looking at this period, Impressionism, and of course, the post-Impressionism period, that Vincent van Gogh belongs to. Okay, and this is his life and time. So if you see here, he started working in so his birth year is 1853. He started working as a trainee with one art dealership firm, transferred to various places. But in his pastime, he always used to make drawings and paint. Nothing serious. I mean, so far, he didn't show any particular inclination towards art, but he used to paint in his pastime. And not only paint, he had this habit of writing letters to his brother Theo. Now, in his family, he was only close to this brother, younger brother Theo. And in his letters, very interestingly, he also included sketches. Okay, so this is a sketch of a potato eaters. He used to actually preach in a poor locality in Netherlands, a locality of coal miners. Okay, so there he was inspired to paint them. Okay, so this is a sketch of the potato eaters that he sends to Theo, and this is the actual painting. Now, this is the only portrait painting where he's made a group portrait, actually 5 people together, the first and the last group portrait made by him. And this is his first large-scale painting that he's done seriously. So before that, he's done some random paintings here and there and some sketches. So he sends the final painting to Theo in 1885. And he is very happy with the painting. He feels that he's on his way to become an artist. But Theo somehow criticizes the painting. He feels that, the colors are so dull. And he tells Vincent, you're not aware of what's happening in the art world. You should come and live with me in Paris. Now, Theo has joined the same company as art dealer. And he's doing very well. He's promoted to a manager post. And he invites him to Paris. Okay. Now, in those days, so this is his famous quote that he writes in a letter to Theo. So when he mentions or sends the sketch of this painting, so I see paintings or drawings in the poorest cottages, in the dirtiest corners, and my mind is driven towards these things with an irresistible momentum. Okay, so he had this habit of explaining his feelings, what he felt, why he chose particular colors. Now, about the colors of this painting, it is so dull. So he says that these are poor potato eaters, and I wanted to use earthy colors of the earth that they tilled, and also the skin of the potato. Okay, so Theo, of course, he doesn't like this painting. Just give me a second, I'll shift to another room. There's a lot of noise here. Just 1 second.
No worries, Nayana. And
it's okay. Meanwhile, is it okay? Is the noise disturbing?
Yes, I think there's a bit of a construction.
Yeah. Just 1 second.
Yeah. You can change the position.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, let me ask the question. What is the most remembered and what is the most favorite painting of Van Gogh that you have commented to the people? Anyone?
Starry Night?
Yes. And do you know that where exactly was Van Gogh where he painted that one? Yes, he was in the sanatorium. And which part of, or which country, let me start with that.
France,
yeah.
Yes. So I'm sure Naina is going to kind of cover more about that as she comes back. In fact, as his life as it kind of moved on from Netherlands to Paris with his brother Theo, and then moving on to the Arles in the south of France, in the Provence region, right? That itself tells a lot about his progression as an artist, and the kind of things that really influenced him, not only through his brother Theo, but the artists from his times. And one of the specific artists actually did have a significant influence on Van Gogh's life. Naina is obviously going to cover all that. So as you kind of see here, right? He started with a very real life kind of sketches in the portraits, which were considered to be fairly dull at that point in time. And Theo did give him the feedback that was actually, as per the entire historical timeline, right? It was an impressionist era where the colors were far more vibrant, the colors were far more uh, like soothing and pleasing to the eyes. So, I think Nana, you're back on. I'll kind of let you maybe take over from here if you're okay. Just filling in for you while you're away.
Yeah.
Okay. So over to you now.
Okay, so sorry about this. There's some construction work going on here. So Theo invites him to live with him in Paris, see the art that's prevalent at that time. Okay, so he moves to Paris, and what is happening there? The Impressionist movement has started in 1870s. A little bit about Impressionists, just to set the context. Now, Impressionism is an art movement. It's a revolutionary art movement, actually, a breakthrough. Why I say this? Because it is the first time that the focus is on imagination and creativity. So the art that is produced before the Impressionists is more based more on observation and realism and naturalism. So here you see they're completely breaking free from all the traditional style of art, and what they're creating now. The Impressionists basically they wanted to show the effect of light on any object. It may be a river, so the object is not important for them. These are the water lilies, or these are famous paintings by Claude Monet, of one of the pioneers of the Impressionist art movement. And no doubt their art is criticized initially. People cannot digest this kind of art, but eventually they become very popular, and it's a major turning point in the Western art history, we can say, Western art world. So now when Vincent goes to Paris, he sees this kind of work. He's completely influenced or inspired by their colors, by their brushstrokes. And not only Vincent, many other artists also. For example, Edvard Munch, probably most of you have seen this famous painting, The Scream or The Cry. And even he is inspired by the Impressionists. Now, these artists come under the category of post-Impressionism. Why post-Impressionism? Because though they are, inspired by the Impressionists, they feel that the paintings or their art style lacks something. Okay, so Edvard Munch and Van Gogh, they come in the category of expressionism because they feel that the Impressionist artwork lacks expression or emotion, and which is true because their focus is not on expression and emotion. They're more concerned with the study of light and atmosphere, right? So they both try to create expressive kind of paintings. Okay, so that is where we would fit in Vincent van Gogh in the art scenario. Let me just go back to this. So this is Impressionism, which started in France, and Van Gogh, with his expressionist style of painting, would come under the post-Impressionism style. Okay. So in Paris, after seeing the colorful paintings of the Impressionists, he starts making colorful paintings. Okay, now you see his color palette has changed completely if we compare with the Potato Eaters, and is making he's using brilliant colors. So this is one sample of his painting, the sunflower. He's made series of sunflowers, okay, some of them in Paris. And in Paris, he comes in contact with various artists, Impressionists or post-Impressionists. They often meet in the cafe and exchange ideas. And he makes friends with Paul Gauguin, another very famous post-Impressionist artist, and Emily Bernard and few others. So he's very happy there. But then he feels, this urban life doesn't suit him, and he needs to go to some countryside for more inspiration. And from Paris, he moves to southern France, that is the Arles region. Okay. Now in Arles, he does various paintings. He paints sunflower. In fact, he invites Paul Gauguin. He thinks of having a artist colony in southern France. He feels that they can live together, paint together, and so he invites Paul Gauguin, who accepts his invitation. And Vincent is very happy. For the first time, he'll have company and he can paint together with some other artist whom he admires. And in that mood of happiness, he does again few more sunflowers to decorate the room of Paul Gauguin. Okay, so total he does some 7-8 sunflowers of Vincent Gauguin exist in the world in various museums. So this is his quote about the sunflower. Meanwhile, he's waiting for Paul Gauguin to come, but he continues painting. In fact, in France itself, he does some self-portraits. Now he's seriously decided to become an artist and he wants to train himself to make figurative paintings. But he cannot afford a model, for making portraits. So he makes number of self-portraits. Just to save money, not that he likes himself or he wants to represent himself, but just for practice. So any idea how many self-portraits of Vincent van Gogh exist? You can just put it in the chat box or...
2.
Yeah?
No idea.
Around 35 plus actually.
Wow.
So majority, of the self-portraits are done in Paris, but he of course continues doing it later also. And he actually falls short of but art material also. He's not financially independent. He depends on his brother Theo. So, he can't always keep asking him for the supplies. So many times he uses the same canvas, so overlaps the paintings. So we don't know how many masterpieces are actually hidden behind his the canvases that we know, but he's known to have used the same canvas repeatedly. So yeah, so this is his quote about self-portrait, very profound. They say, and I'm very willing to believe it, that it is difficult to know yourself, but it isn't easy to paint yourself either. Okay. So meanwhile, he's in Arles is of course closer to nature, completely inspired to make drawings and paintings. So yeah, if you truly love nature, you'll find beauty everywhere. So all these quotes come from his letters to Theo. We are going to talk a little bit more about his letters. The colors, now his color palette has changed. Everybody knows Vincent van Gogh. In fact, the blue and yellow are almost synonymous with Vincent van Gogh. So in his letter he writes, "I never get tired of the blue sky." And yellow for him actually symbolizes cheerfulness, and it is the color of the sun. So very often you'll find this combo in his paintings. He's made a series of sowers in Arles, and always inspired to paint the laborers, the tillers, the sowers, the peasants. This is one of his very famous paintings, the Red Vineyards. In fact, in his lifetime, he sold only one painting. That too with the help of his brother Theo, and this is that painting. Okay, only one painting in his lifetime. So just imagine, what kind of life he had. He became famous much later after his death. In Arles again, he paints this cafe terrace at night. This is the cafe today, very famously named after him, Vincent van Gogh Cafe. And you can see the same painting kept here for tourists to admire. Okay. So yeah, he does some, paints some inanimate objects, puts complete life in it actually. Whenever I look at these are just pair of shoes, but just look at them. It feels as if they're talking to you, right? So he writes, "I have a preference for things that bore the scars of life." only then they are of interest to me. Okay. And again, so why we call him an expressionist painter? He can bring about emotions and expressions in a non-living object, right? So he says, I want to touch people with my art. I want them to say he feels deeply, he feels tenderly, and which is so true. Okay, now in Arles, he lives in this building, the Yellow House. He rents 2 apartments, one for himself, the other one for Paul Gauguin, and also to make a studio. So this building does not exist today. There's it had been demolished long ago, but there's a cafe below. There used to be a cafe below. He's painted this cafe, the Night Cafe at Arles, very famous painting. In fact, he had made friendship with the owner, Mr. Ginu, and he has made portraits of him, his wife. Whenever he got a chance to make portrait of people he knew, he always made those portraits. And about this cafe, he writes, it is frequented by prostitutes and alcoholics and all, and it's open throughout the night, so they just slouch on the chairs, and vivid description about the cafe in his letter to Theo. Then he also paints his bedroom, describing every color that is there in his letters, and he says that he wants to express repose or calmness with all these different colors. And Vincent van Gogh and Paul Gauguin both are at some point in their lifetime inspired by the Japanese artists and their prints. Okay, they study the Japanese artists in detail, try to inculcate some elements in their artwork. And so here he says the Japanese lived in very simple interiors. And what great artists have lived in that country. So he explains, why the interior of his room is so simple. Now, Paul Gauguin finally arrives in Arles to stay with Vincent. And as I mentioned earlier, Vincent decorates his room with sunflowers, and he's very fond of sunflowers. In fact, he starts growing sunflowers at that point of time. And this is a very famous portrait of Vincent made by Paul Gauguin, the painter of sunflowers, he calls it. Okay, so this is Vincent. Now, 2 artists, they always say that artists are very disturbed souls. Okay, it is a very well-known fact. They behave eccentrically. Many times they are hot-tempered. So now 2 artists who have different personalities, different temperaments, living together for a long time is very, very difficult. And the same thing happens here. They barely live together for some 9 weeks. In those 9 weeks also they fight, they have a lot of arguments, mainly over the art theories and their beliefs about art and all that. And eventually it comes up to a major tussle between them, where Vincent van Gogh actually gets his first, what we can say, mental attack, or he's already suffering from some mental illness. There's a lot of study already done about it. Some call it epilepsy or schizophrenia. There's no, nobody knows exactly what. There are various names that we come across when they describe his mental health. But whatever it was, he gets his first major attack when he has a fight with Paul Gauguin. And he runs after Gauguin with a razor blade. So Gauguin obviously scared, and he just escapes from there. And in anger, Vincent cuts off part of his ear, okay, with the razor blade, wraps it in a handkerchief, goes to a nearby brothel, gives it to a prostitute with whom he has developed some friendship, and comes back. And people in the town, now it's a small town, they are shocked, okay? So the news spreads like fire. People are absolutely shocked. They're worried that we have a madman amongst us. they actually write to the mayor, sign a petition saying that we don't want this man living with us. He is harmful for the society. And meanwhile, Vincent goes to the doctor, gets himself dressed, and what he does after 2-3 days, he makes a self-portrait with the bandaged ear. Okay, so just imagine what kind of person he is. So these are the two self-portraits that he creates in that time. And then he comes to know about the petition. And it is also said that, after these attacks, he probably does not remember what happened. He doesn't know what he did. Okay, so he hardly remembers what he did actually. But he's surprised that, people don't want him to live in that society. And he decides to voluntarily get admitted in the hospital for his treatment. So from here, his mental illness actually comes to light, and there are various relapses over the time. Eventually, he goes to this asylum very close to Arles, and there he's confined to a room. He sees some beautiful scenery from the window. Okay, so this is one of the paintings that he's created in the asylum. It's the irises. This painting today, very recently, it was sold in the auction for very, very high price, some $80,000+ million. So let's just see some of the works. Okay, yeah, this is the wheat field. Again, the view that he sees from his the window of the asylum. And this definitely reminds us of some other painting of his. It's like a prelude. We'll talk about that painting later. So he keeps painting in the asylum when undergoing the treatment. But again, he gets these attacks. In fact, his doctor says that he randomly picks up some things and eats them. And he writes to Theo that I heard this from my doctor, but I don't remember anything. And at one point, he also tries to eat his paint and turpentine. And the doctor is scared. He feels that he's trying to commit suicide. But as per Vincent, he doesn't really remember what actually he's doing. So this is, yeah. So then, the doctor writes to Theo that, his condition doesn't look proper. And Theo is a bit worried. He visits him, and then he suggests that why don't you again come to Paris and live with me. Okay, so now Vincent, he doesn't like the city life, so he decides I'll live closer to Paris but in another place. So then he goes to this place called Auvers-sur-Oise. And here again, it's a scenic place because it's away from the city, a little bit towards the country. And he's inspired. He paints continuously, So Vincent van Gogh, he becomes an artist at the age of 27, paints for 10 years. Okay. Whatever paintings he has created, any idea how many paintings he has created?
$2,000.
It's 900 plus. Okay, not including the drawings and sketches. I'm talking about oil paintings, 900 plus in 10 years. But out of that, the major chunk is created in the last 3 years of his life, 1888 to 1890. Okay, so towards the end of life. Now we have come to July 1890. So this is the place where he's living. He continuously paints till the end of his life. And this is again very famous painting, Wheat Field with Crows. He actually sees the wheat field from his window there also. And in this place now, he lives in a building where, this postman comes very often. Now, this is a very famous portrait. His name is Joseph Roulin. Okay, now he's actually immortalized this person in his painting, and he becomes a good friend of his. He barely lives there for 3 to 4 months, actually, towards the end of his life. But he makes few friends. One is this postman, and he's made a portrait of him. And the other person, the person that you see on the right, is Dr. Gachet. who is treating Vincent. Now, Gachet himself is a painter. Okay, he's very much ambitious. He wants to become an artist, though he's a practicing doctor. And he is one person who secretly admires Vincent. Okay, and not only that, what he does is, for his treatment, he doesn't charge him in cash. He tells him, you give me your paintings. Right? And much later, after Vincent's death, it comes to light that this person copies his paintings, okay, secretly. And in fact, he also invites him to paint in his backyard. Okay, and he copies his paintings. So, after Vincent's death, when he starts becoming famous, there are already some fakes that are circulating in the art market, thanks to Dr. Gachet. But this comes to light much later. Okay, so eventually, it so happens, probably Vincent comes to know that he's copying his painting, and they have some argument. And Dr. Gachet actually confronts Vincent and tells him, what do you think of yourself? You are a dependent, and you are actually, your brother is going to be bankrupt because of you, because he is providing for you. Now, Vincent, he doesn't earn, right? Past 10 years, he's never done any job, and only one painting of his has been sold. And it's only because of Theo that he comes this far, actually, because he takes care of him financially, he provides him all the material, and he supports him and he believes in him, right? So this particular statement, it seems, triggers Vincent to commit suicide, as they say. But of course, it is not, there's a controversy, it's not widely accepted that he's committed suicide. There are two theories. Some say that he had been murdered, maybe accidentally, by a teenager who had a gun, and he used to bully Vincent. He was bullied a lot, being a different kind of person. So we're not sure actually how he died, but surely he dies, and he lives for 2 days after the gunshot. Okay, and Theo comes and meets him. He talks to Theo. Theo tries to ask him what happened. He doesn't say anything. He says, I feel good, finally I'll be at peace. And Theo tells him that, why don't we go to Paris and have a better treatment? So he says, what's the use? Even if I live, this is the famous, his last sentence actually, sadness lasts forever. Okay, so now he's given up hope. He doesn't want to live anymore. Okay, so that's the story of his life. But of course, legends never die. So we are going to see what happens later. But before that, let me show you a couple of letters of Vincent van Gogh. So today, whatever information we have about him is because of these letters, okay, that he wrote to Theo. And of course, Theo also wrote to him. But Theo was very careful, he preserved all the letters. So again, any idea how many letters of Vincent and Theo together exist today? Yes.
Maybe around 50.
Oh, it's 900 plus.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And, so Theo preserves the letters. So around 850 or so are the letters written by Vincent to Theo, which he has very well preserved. And Theo's letters, Vincent somehow is not so, he's careless. So he just probably tore them off, and some people feel that he burned them down whenever, there was some argument or something in the letter, he just burned them down. So 900 plus letters. Now these letters in itself are pieces of art. If you see, almost every letter has a sketch. Okay, so his portrait or whatever he plans to paint, or something that he's already painted, but he explains everything. So these letters are like a study in itself. You come to know about the thinking process of the artist through these letters. It's not only about his life, but anybody who wants to become an artist should study these letters. And these letters are translated into all the major languages in the world. For me, I have seen the Marathi version also, so very popular. Okay. Now, out of the 900 plus paintings that he's is painted. Today, it is said that every continent except for Antarctica has a painting or two of Vincent van Gogh. Of course, a major chunk is in Europe, in Amsterdam today, in the Van Gogh Museum. Now, after his death, what has happened is Theo also passes away after 6 months. Okay. And Theo, of course, he's also suffering from some disease, some physical disease, and Vincent's death, of course, disturbs him a lot, and he passes after 6 months. That's why we saw the two tombs. Both of them are buried together. And then Theo's wife, she has a small baby at that time, actually, and he's also named Vincent van Gogh. So Theo actually names his son after his brother. Okay, so there are 4 Vincent van Gogh in the family, as I told you: grandfather, the stillborn Vincent van Gogh, the actual Vincent van Gogh, and Theo's son. Okay, interesting, actually, 4 people with the same name in the family. So now this 4th Vincent van Gogh, in his old age, he sets up this Vincent van Gogh Foundation in Amsterdam, and eventually the foundation starts this museum, Vincent van Gogh Museum. Okay, and the major chunk of his oil paintings are in this museum today, of course, but otherwise his paintings are scattered everywhere. All the major museums in the world would have Vincent van Gogh's painting. Okay. Now, yeah, as I said, this his legacy. So masters, legends do not die. They live forever in one way or in one form or the other. So with Vincent, his ending was actually his beginning, because, as I said, he was a nobody in his lifetime. Only one artwork was sold and people didn't know him at all. But after his death, his Theo's wife, she sells his paintings to famous art dealers. She's living in Paris, the art capital. So she sells his paintings to various museums as well. And of course, his life story comes into light with the letters and all. And actually, he becomes a legend. People are so much interested in his work, and eventually he's become so famous today. And if you see, almost every artist for almost 4-5 decades after Vincent van Gogh's death claims to have been inspired or influenced by his work, either his brushstrokes or his colors or his themes. So this is a famous painting by Vasily Kandinsky, the Blue Rider. He comes from the German Expressionist group. Another painting by a German artist, Frank Mars. And this person, he's a living artist, actually, Frank Orbach. And you see the impasto technique that he's using. Now, impasto is nothing but putting thick layers of color, placing thick layers of colors on the canvas just to give it more dimension. Okay. And Vincent van Gogh. Now, impasto has been used in earlier times also, but Van Gogh takes it to another level altogether. Okay, so if we have to talk about his style of painting or his technique, it is the impasto technique that he uses. And he tells that I'm not using it only to create dimensions in my painting, but also to put emotions and movement in my painting. Okay, and we are going to look at his technique. Now, Van Gogh, again, he's been immortalized in popular culture as well, literature, drama, movies, songs. If you all know the famous Starry Starry Night song, written in 1971. And this is my favorite movie of Vincent van Gogh, recently released in 2017. Now, this movie, again, it's a piece of art, because some 100 plus artists from all over the world came together to create the paintings for this movie. So every frame in the movie is a painting. Almost every frame is a painting of Vincent van Gogh. Beautiful movie. We'll just quickly look at the trailer of the movie. If you have not seen the movie, do see it.
Vincent van Gogh killed himself.
How does a man go from calm to suicidal in 6 weeks?
So, what brings you to Auvert?
I want to do something for Vincent.
You're not going to stir things up again, are you? You've had quite enough weeping over that nutcase.
His neighbours and the police and the whole town against an ill man.
Vincent, what have you done?
We all knew something was very wrong.
Vincent! If only I could have been one of them.
Great artists are not peaceful souls. That is the price of your path. Is it worth it?
Did he change his mind? Did he want to live after all?
You want to know so much about his death. But what do you know of his life?
I would like to show by my work what this nobody has in his heart. Your loving Vincent.
But surely it's inspiring to actually, for me to watch the movie, and I'm not sure if if you have seen the movie, but I hope it's inspiring for you as well to watch this one. And Naina, you had another thing that you want to share, I think.
Yeah.
On the Starry Nights. You want me to play that as well?
Yes.
Sure, I'll do that. And that's a very quick look. Okay. So this is, of course, about the Starry Night painting, and we started the session with that when we recreated it. So let's see, from Vincent van Gogh's perspective.
Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds of violet haze, reflecting Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand. Now I understand what you try to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you. Still love was true, when no hope was left inside. On that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night, portraits hung in empty halls, frameless heads on nameless walls, with eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met. The ragged men in ragged clothes, a silver thorn, a bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you try to say to me, how you suffered for your sanity, how you try to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they'll never will.
So that's a Vincent van Gogh immersive experience. There are 2-3 experiences, this traveling exhibitions going around in the world, and very popular, even, it's ongoing even today. So I believe, my sister told me the bookings are done 6 months prior to the visit. So it's so popular. Okay, now we come to the art piece of the day, the Starry Night painting, of course, because some of you, I believe, have done this workshop with Catterfly, and you have already experienced this painting. So this is one of the masterpieces of Vincent van Gogh. So even though people do not know much about Vincent van Gogh, if you just mention his name, the first painting that comes to mind is the Starry Night. This painting is in the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, at New York today. And these are some of the famous quotes about the painting, that he wrote to Vincent in the letter, to Theo. And it seems now a lot of analysis has been done by the scholars. Okay, now just to give you a backdrop about the place that he painted this. So this was painted when he was in the asylum. This view he could see from his window. Okay, and he writes to Theo that one night I just happened to get up at midnight and looked out of my window and I saw a vision. Okay, so immediately next day he starts painting Starry Night. Now Vincent paints furiously, actually. If you see, he's done some in 10 years, I told you he's done 900 plus paintings, and majorly in the last part of his life. So on an average, he's done one painting in 36 hours. It's been calculated, okay, that furiously. So, whenever he gets an inspiration, he starts painting. And here, I'll just show you Starry Night little more in detail. And we'll see the impasto technique, and also I'll talk about the symbolism here. So let's get the detailed view of the painting. Okay. So this is the impasto, the laying of thick pigment on the canvas that I was talking about. And this is peculiar of Vincent van Gogh in all his paintings. You'll see very rapid brush strokes. You see kind of urgency in his the way he paints. Now, here it is said that this cypress tree, which is very dominant here, symbolizes death. In fact, cypress tree symbolizes death in Western mythology. And Vincent, somehow he has death in his mind all the time. He writes to Theo very often. In fact, as early as 1883, he writes to him that I barely have few years in my hand. So here, and if you see the quote that he writes when writing about the Starry Night, he says, just as we take a train to go from one place to another, we take death to reach the stars. Okay, so the symbolism, probably he's thinking of death. And if you see, this painting was made in the summer of July 1890. The summer sky is very calm, nothing like this. So why all this turbulence, all the concentric circles, the swirls and all that? So many art critics and all feel that all the turbulence which was there in his mind, he's put it on the canvas.